Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein's suicide one more time because I connected a huge missing piece. And one of the top headlines today, Monday, August 12th, 2 days after his supposed suicide, is that Barr cites failure at New York jail that held Jeffrey Epstein. So we're going to look at this jail real specifically. But notice the emphasis on failure. It has a Gematria value of 117, and that's not an arbitrary number. That's a number that's relevant to the history of the CIA. Central Intelligence Agency equals 117. And recall, you had the resignation of Alex Acosta after Epstein was arrested because people said, he should have put him behind bars a decade earlier and he was serving in Trump's administration. Acosta, before he resigned, mentioned how part of the reason he backed off on Epstein is because he had heard that he belonged to intelligence. And of course, that would be in reference to either the Central Intelligence Agency or Mossad. And Jeffrey Epstein's name also does connect to Mossad. There's a fine line between the CIA and Mossad. So anyhow, 117, Central Intelligence Agency 117. By the way, the abbreviation CIA is 13. When you write out 13, it's 117. So in today's headline, they encode 117. And CNN, their next headline, when you click on the article, again, it emphasizes failure. It also emphasizes co-conspirators. And that's interesting because co-conspirators sums to 68, like CIA when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Co-conspirators also sums to 185 and 68, just like Donald John Trump, the sitting president who was once neighbors and buddies with Epstein. And again, we're going to talk about Clinton too, so don't get your panties all in a bunch. What people really should think about is how tight the Clintons and the Trumps are. Donald running against Hillary, Donald and Hillary both having their election night, both in New York City, blocks away from each other, both New York types. Donald Trump, lifelong Democrat, big Hillary and Bill Clinton supporter until the time of Obama. I mean, the puppet show is really easy to see through unless you're completely blind, which most people are. But anyway, CIA encoding all over this. But here's what I missed before. He was at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, which is like the Hollywood for made-for-TV jail types, including El Chapo and Paul Manafort. Again, all people that are in the news by the numbers. People we've talked about in connection to these, three-letter alphabet agencies. Done that with El Chapo. We've done that with Manafort. These guys always in the news by the numbers, just like Epstein. Of course, if you're in the news by the numbers because all day, every day, it's propaganda by this code. But here's the kicker. Metropolitan Correctional Center sums to 149, just like Skull and Bones. And remember, Skull and Bones identifies by the number 322. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, his full name, is 322. We talked about how his day in court, it was 322 days after Bill Clinton's birthday. Bill Clinton, the president that sat between the two Bush presidents who were both members of Yale Skull and Bones. This powerful secret society out of Yale, not far from New York City. Now, when you run the alphabetic order forward, Skull and Bones is 149. When you run it in reverse, it's 202. And as we talked about, Epstein died 202 days after his birthday, supposedly. So you see how nicely this comes together? A little bit too nicely. And just for a reminder, just to put it up here, Epstein, when he appeared in court on July 8th, it was news by the numbers. But we talked about, that day the connections were brought up between him and Clinton and Trump and, the royal family. Reminds that all the presidents have bloodlines going to the royal families. But from Bill Clinton's birthday, to his arrest. It was actually to his arrest. Epstein was arrested July 6th, but from Clinton's birthday to his arrest was 322 days later. And again, this is the president that sat between the two Bushes who were both members of Skull and Bones. And you just got to say, what are the odds? What are the odds? And with regards to 149 and 322, again, an important movie that came out just before September 11th. It released November 18th, the 322nd day of the year. And this film had everything to do with what happened after September 11th. You really should check out this film. But there's a scene in the movie. There's a lot of information here. Go watch my older video on this. But there's a scene in the movie at 1 hour and 49 minutes. Yeah, it's probably too small for anybody to make out, but anyone who wants to verify this, just go watch the movie Enemy of the State. You should watch the movie. I mean, it really is relevant. You'll see how all of the topics brought up in that movie were about everything that happened after September 11th, building the surveillance state. But an hour and 49 minutes into the movie, Will Smith looks at his watch, and what time is it? It's 3:22. And why would they do that? Because tributes, letters and numbers. By the way, Genesis 3:22. Genesis 3:22. It's about the tree of life, which is about Kabbalah, which is where this practice of coding numbers into words comes from. And Genesis 3:22, the verse even has a Gematria value of 322. So Skull and Bones didn't pick that number arbitrarily. Also, for another recent 149 and 322, Robert Mueller, we talked about how his investigation wrapped up on May 29th, which is the 149th day of the year. And then when the news was announced that he was going to testify, it was 322 days after his birthday. And of course, who appointed Mueller? George W. Bush, the member of Yale Skull and Bones. Of course, he was chosen September 4th, 2001, 7 days before September 11th. What a coincidence. So, just wanted to hit those points to, again, just show some of the further relevance of 149 and 322. There's more examples out there, but here's the latest. Epstein. And I knew there was something up with the 202 days after his birthday that I was missing. So it was the Skull and Bones ritual. That's where they were going with this. And speaking of Skull and Bones and George Herbert Walker Bush, the first Bush to be president, don't forget that he was the head of the CIA before he became vice president and then president. You know, and if you think Ronald Reagan, the Hollywood actor, was running that presidency, well, then you're blind. Ronald Reagan was senile. And funny enough, most Americans think he's the greatest president ever. A guy who was senile and had already lost his mind by the time he was the puppet in office, reading off the teleprompter. So, coming back to this CIA point, the 117 where we began, again, July 11th, recall, one of the top headlines, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers suggest detention at his $77 million mansion. And if you read the article, they mentioned that it was his Upper East Side mansion. And this story was from July 11th. July 11th. That special day to the you-know-whos. The secret Jewish history of 7-Eleven. And this article is written by a guy named Rogovoy. Rogovoy's 11-7. Seth Rogovoy's 47. What's 4 plus 7? 11 plus there's a 7 in there. 7-Eleven's 47. The difference between 7 and 11's 4. Anyway, just to be super repetitive, I've covered this 1,000 times before, but why not one more? His article begins, when you walk into your local 7-Eleven today to get your free Slurpee, this being July 11th or 7-Eleven, or as it is celebrated everywhere, 7-Eleven Day, consider for a moment that the convenience the store brings is based upon Gematria, or the hidden meaning of numbers in Judaism. And just to go back, this story came on July 11th about him being in his $77 million mansion. What's 7 times 11? 77. Upper East Side mansion, the one they wanted him in, equals 117. Judaism 77, Zionist 77, Secret Society 77, United States 77, Power 77, July 11, 2019 was a date with 57 numerology. Jews equals 57. And sadly, there's some people in the truth community that's saying all of this is just a coincidence. It's all just a coincidence. We're going to talk about one of those people in a moment. So again, just to revisit what just happened to Epstein with the suicide, in case you missed my last 5 videos on it. Let's just go over it all one more time. It doesn't take that long. Our most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Epstein, his surname equals 34 like suicide, and from his trial date July 8th to his suicide August 10th was 34 days. And July 8th, 19, 7 plus 8 plus 19 was a date with 34 numerology. It was pointed out that his inmate number, which was given to him, 76318-054, if you add up those numbers, 7 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1 plus 8 plus 0 plus 5 plus 4, it equals 34. And you see how they emphasize El Chapo? Notice here we counted the span of days. If you don't count the span of days, it's 33 days later, which is another way to look at this. Almost every El Chapo headline for the past 5 years of El Chapo headlines have encoded 33. Just do a web search for El Chapo and 33 and see how many different stories come up. About 10 million, and then check the date numerology of those stories. Almost all of them on 33 days. But that's another big number there. This was in New York. New York's 33. His trial in New York was on the 78 date. And again, Masonry's 33, Secrecy's 33, Orders 33, Federal's 33, Bonesmen. Those are the alumni of Skull and Bones is 33. So there's a reason that they emphasize, the El Chapo in the headline next to Epstein. So there's that piece. Also, we counted from his last birthday. If you just use the alphabetic order, Jeffrey Epstein's 163, which is the 38th prime. Epstein and murder are both 38 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they're all 38. They're all numbers associated with death is the point. It's possible he was murdered, but I think it's more likely, he's back to Epstein Island or to Epstein Island Part 2. The whole thing was a made-for-TV soap opera, as I pointed out day one. But anyhow, this 163 to his upcoming birthday, his 67th is 163 days. So they did it 202 days from his last birthday, connecting to Skull and Bones. Also a number that was connected to Tisha B'Av all year, as I pointed out, literally 11 months in advance. So 202 days after the birthday, 163 days before the upcoming. The name Jeffrey Epstein does have some connections to sacrifice if he was killed. His name also has connections to sex trafficking, as we talked about day one. Coming back to the first headline we looked at with William Barr referring to co-conspirators and how that coded out to Donald John Trump. Again, Trump and Epstein were buddy-buddies, seen in the club together, on planes together, neighbors together, It's not hard to see what a soap opera this is. And again, Epstein being connected to Clinton and Trump. Again, so easy to see how these media stories are contrived to keep people divided and fighting over the same tired subjects. And I said that from day one. I said that's why it's so easy to see how divisive this story is. It's the type of story that'll make the people on the right go, ooh, Clinton. And it's the type of story that'll make the people on the left go, ooh, Trump. It's just so transparent. But anyway, Epstein and Trump both 88, like Jewish. Again, this happened on Tisha B'Av, his supposed suicide, the day of Jewish tragedy. We talked about how from Trump's birthday to the day this happened was his 58th day of his age. And again, Donald Trump, he is Mr. 58, winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower, yada, 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 hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Freemasonry, Rosicrucian Secret Society, they're all 58. So is What Happened, the title of Hillary Clinton's book about why she lost the rigged election and the puppet show that was. Again, this happened on the week of Tisha B'Av to remember Solomon's Temple and Herod's Temple. And This is my favorite detail here. We just found out about this one last night. The news story about vehicle number 134 showing up on the scene to examine Jeffrey Epstein. And, of course, Tisha B'Av's 134. Same with 9th of Av, which is the English way to say Tisha B'Av. Epstein died on the first day of Tisha B'Av, August 10th. The day of Jewish tragedy. So, you know, for people who don't get this work, like Derek Bros of the Conscious Resistance, these are the comments he left to my Epstein video. He wrote, how many other words equal 34? You can pick a wide range of words and find connections. Gematria is real and occult symbolism is real. However, these videos rarely prove anything. And keep in mind, the first day that the Epstein arrest happened, he put up a video and he was asking people to send him money so he could travel to New York because he wanted to be in the courtroom and he wanted to do his own independent journalism on it. And I said, dude, wake up to the fact that all news is contrived by the code. And I showed him this right here. I showed him that FBI NYPD Crimes Against Children Task Force, what supposedly arrested Epstein, equaled 178. Just like Kabbalah, by the way. And Kabbalah sums to 178 too. And the day he was arrested was the day leaving 178 days left in the year. It's also the 187th day of the year, big number of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. And the day he died was the day leaving 143 days left in the year. Another number that connects to Scottish Rite of Freemasonry was a date with 57 numerology, Scottish Rites 57. But it's just the same numbers per usual. And I showed this to him, and he said, oh, that's just a coincidence. And then he sees, how Epstein's suicide is by the 34 code, and he comes and he just starts making excuses like this. And keep in mind, this is the guy who refers to his network as the conscious resistance. I mean, you have to be literally unconscious, brain dead, retarded to continue to make excuses and try to, dance around this work and just say it's all a coincidence. Let me again read his words. How many other words equal 34? First of all, that doesn't matter how many other words equal 34. What Gematria is about is pairing words together that have a relationship. Epstein suicide. They both equal 34. That's the story, right? That he committed suicide. And then it's not just that those two words equal 34, and he saw this himself. It's that from the trial date, July 8th, to the day he committed suicide was 34 days. And again, that's the way this always is. It's never just about the numbers in the words. It's about how it's always paired up with the date numerology and the calendar. And then you see that his prison number equals 34. You see that the trial date was 34. Plus just everything else. Every single step of the way, every Epstein headline was by the numbers in accordance with every date in the calendar. So you're looking at like 10 different news stories between July 6th and the supposed suicide that all synced up perfectly. And I continued to show these to this same person, and he just shrugged at all of them. Just like, who cares? Who cares? That doesn't mean anything. I mean, that was his response to everything. And if you're asking, like, who is this person? Why do I care about it? Well, part of the reason I care is because I have to appear on the stage with this guy at Anarchadelphia. Him and I are going to be on a panel together talking about occult symbolism in the media, And honestly, I mean, Derek Bros, just to be short, his heart's in the right place, but he's not a smart guy. I mean, he's an idiot. If you watch his video on the Epstein death, he shows the picture put out by the mainstream media and says, well, look, his skin looks pretty bluish there, so I think he's dead. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to believe what you see in the mainstream? And the thing about Derek is he's gotten to go on RT media, and he's getting a lot of coverage right now in Houston because he's running for mayor, So, I wonder about who some of these people are. He's another guy who's out of prison. A lot of these shills on YouTube did do time. I don't know if there's some program to get people hooked up in the online shill community after they get released from prison, but there seems to be a pattern there. Guys like Richie from Boston, the fat rapist, ODD Reality, and a few others. The guy who continues to make videos about me and put out false information. So I notice there's this theme with people who attack and critique my work, and they did time in prison. And I don't have anything against prisoners. There's a lot of people who do prison time who didn't deserve to do a day in the cell, but I just see this pattern with horrible content on YouTube and people who were in prison. So I'd say, I don't want to say Derek Bros' content's horrible. Again, he's not very smart, but his heart is in the right place. Most of his sentiments I agree with. It's just that he's an idiot. And for this event that I'm speaking at, I think it is overpriced, honestly. And if you're going to charge a lot, why would you have a moron there? And plus, this same moron, Derek Bros, did you see what he did at the last conference he went to? He uploaded a video crying about how they didn't pay him enough to be there. And why would anybody pay you to be there? You're an idiot. So anyway, some more of this idiot's remarks. I have seen enough of your videos to hear you repeat yourself. You do your thing and people can believe they have the hidden code if they want. You see what like a little bitch comment that is? Attention, Derek Bros. Dear fucking idiot who's brought nothing to this community. What have you exposed? For 6 years, I've called out dates before they've happened. I've showed people how news is contrived by a very systematic pattern, an undeniable pattern, unless you're fucking retarded. And, you know, not only that, but showing people other things that are important, like how the whole world of entertainment's a bunch of bullshit and people shouldn't invest in it. How sports and news are scripted together. You are someone who still believes in the message that comes from the authority. And I find it comical that you're running for mayor and showing up at an anarchy convention. And the planners of this convention should really consider why this speaker is here. What's he going to do? Go on the stage and tell people to believe in the news? His favorite phrase at the end of the video is to tell people they're free. Well, we're not free. And being someone who's sat in a prison cell for using a controlled substance, you should know that above all people. So, anyway. His last comment is, all I'm saying is I could make a video and look up words and choose the ones that line up and have the same effect. It still proves nothing. Okay, do it then, you fucking idiot. Make a video and just put some random shit together and let's see if you have, anything going. Let's try out the theory. Because what I've done is showing how every single day news is constructed by the same systematic code. And I don't pick and choose. I have shown and proven why this is the code, which we'll elaborate more on right now. So, we did that very well with Epstein. Let's take the tear gas at Temple Mount. First of all, September of 2018. Is it true or false that I told people to circle the date of August 11th, 2019 and to watch Temple Mount because there was something being plotted against the Muslim population? Did I not put out a video in September of 2018 and warn Muslims about this day? Of course I did. True. And what happened? The headline was that tear gas was shot on Muslims praying at Temple Mount. Now look at the gematria of tear gas, because see, this fucking idiot Derek Bros is coming here and saying that I'm just picking and choosing between these 4 ciphers when every single day I'm showing how most of these ciphers are in play in regards to all rituals. So notice tear gas with the alphabetic order 71 like temple. It's 26 with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology like temple. It's 118 like the date August 11th, 11/8, the number that they were coding last year and that they've coded all throughout the year. And it's also 46, like Temple Mount, like religion, like chaos. And, am I picking and choosing or am I showing what is? Again, you have to be a fucking idiot to leave a comment like this on my channel on April 10th, 2019 in light of what I've shown for 6 years straight. Or a shill, Derek Bros is always asking for money so he can go investigate some mainstream news stories if it's real. As if his, opinion's going to make any difference. He's just somebody that wants to contribute to the narrative that's laid out for him. He calls himself an independent investigative journalist. Laughable. You are a fucking idiot, Derek Bros. Period. That's who you are. With a heart that's slightly in the right place. Now, to make another point, Derek thinks only one cipher should matter. In the beginning of this video, we talked about how Central Intelligence Agency equals 117. Well, it also sums to 135. And do you think it's a coincidence that the head of the CIA is Gina Cherry Haspel? and her name equals 135? You think that's a coincidence? See, Derek would say, oh, you're just picking and choosing. The odds of things like this lining up are astronomical, and they do it every single day. So either every single day there's astronomical coincidences in every news headline, in every story, in every action of the federal government, or they're not coincidences. It's the code and how it's utilized. Now, there's a few other things about Gina Haspel. First of all, her name's 47 in the most pure cipher. What do we know about that number? DC's 47, government's 47, authorities 47, White House is 47, President's 47, Trump's 47. He was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged election. This number's used about 1 million times a year in rituals in Washington, D.C. 47 degrees on the Masonic compass. Her name's also 52. All of the words that I just said equal 47, they also all equal 52. So these are your numbers that connect to almost everything in D.C. Kabbalah equals 178 and 52. And of course, in Washington, D.C., you have the Masonic statue of Albert Pike holding his book Morals and Dogma, which says Masonry owes all things to Kabbalah. Anyway, she was confirmed on May 17th, same day that the Robert Mueller investigation began. And why May 17th? Same day Bill Clinton's father was murdered. Why May 17th? What is it about that day? It's the 137th day of the year. And not only that, or I put it in the wrong spot, didn't I? May 17th is the 137th day of the year. Here's the Mueller investigation, May 17, 2017. But Haspel, the day she was confirmed on May 17th, the 137th day of the year, from her own birthday, October 1st, or from that date to her birthday that year, was 137 days. And look, Washington, D.C. is 137 with the alphabetic order, government's 137 with the reverse alphabetic order, authorities 137 with the alphabetic order, White House is 137 with the reverse alphabetic order, morals and dogma, again, that's the Albert Pike text that says Masonry owes all things to Kabbalah. It's 137 with the alphabetic order. By the way, Kabbalah in Hebrew sums to 137. Government means mind control. Mind control is 137. 137 is the 33rd primes. Think about the CIA's MK Ultra program, 33. Think about how often in these active shooter situations they'll say the shooter was 33 years old or his name equals 33. Or the shootings on a date with 33 numerology, very high ratio. Federal Masonry secrecy order, they're all 33. We were just talking about El Chapo in 33. The suicide 33 days after the trial date in New York, or a span of 34. So anyway, there's a lot longer list, but I'm just tired of this fucking truth community where nobody does jack shit to help spread this work. It's just endless criticism and denouncing and, it's just like, okay, so I'm going to go speak about this knowledge and I have to have a fucking idiot on the stage with me who wants to come and say this shit's a coincidence? Oh my goodness. So, out of the 4 people who are going to be on the panel, I'll just leave you with this. Who has done anything out of those 4 people over the course of the last 6 years to call out countless, false flag rituals before they happen? Who out of those 4 people's worked the hardest to show what's really going on in this world? And who out of those 4 has shown how occult knowledge is used every single day? Derek Bros? Nothing. I don't even know what this guy covers in regards to occultism. Jack shit. Max Egan? I agree with Max Egan's sentiments on most things, but he's never helped share or spread this work. I've seen him having a picture with David Icke, which makes me all kinds of suspicious. David Icke, somebody who vouched for Julian Assange, well, that's 100% evidence that you're a shill. You got to be retarded to think Julian Assange is anything other than an establishment media puppet, putting out the narrative that they want. Became a big part of the rigged election news cycle. Julian Assange, who vouches for the official 9/11 story, sorry, that disqualifies David Icke from being a real truth teller. And, you know, maybe Max Egan just got to meet him and it's a picture and I shouldn't put much weight on it. But I don't really have anything negative to say about Max Egan other than I was annoyed with recently one of his videos. He made a comment about how nobody in the truth community really has anything figured out and everyone just kind of speculates. It's like, yeah, I would agree with that, except for I wouldn't put myself on that list. You know, if anybody's figured out anything in this community, it is me, and I don't care how arrogant that sounds. That's just a fact. Nobody else has anything to show for themselves. You know? Mark Passio, it's great that he teaches about things that most people have never heard of, but in a recent rant, you know, he asked people to donate to him 10 different ways, and then once he finished with his donation, he went into a rant about me, and then said, and he's tired of people asking for more. He said he's doing 3 hours a week, and he doesn't feel like doing anything more. 3 hours a week's enough for him. And I was like, so you want to get free, but you only want to put in 3 hours a week, huh? It's like a welfare queen saying they want a job, but they only want to work 3 hours a week. So, anyway, just got to be real, and this is me being real, so. Derek Bros, please shut the fuck up, and also do me a favor, tell Pat, who's running the event, that you don't belong on the occultism panel because you don't. In fact, you don't even belong there. You don't have anything to bring to the conversation. Bring in the newspaper printout of Jeffrey Epstein's blue face and tell people why they should believe in news headlines like you. You all get a good laugh. Somebody says I need to take the lead in setting up a tangible plan. Well, I have set up a tangible plan, but it takes major resources, and I don't have them. And that's why I've said, you know, if you guys go out and support my book, if all 60-some thousand of you are here went out and bought the book, I'd set up the community tomorrow, because that would be $300,000 in sales. And what I could do is I could go buy a plot of land, plumb it for water, build shelter, get some agriculture going. I don't know, maybe we got to start with a bunch of tents in a warm spot, but I know I could afford it all for $300,000. So until then, I don't have the money to achieve the plan. And the only plan that I know that's realistic is to set up a community where people can come who care about truth, who want to work together, who want to live together, who want to grow food together, who want to grow ideas together, who want to grow a plan together. That's the only way I know. That's the only plan I see that's attainable. And like I said, if that community came together, out of that community could come other things, including like the Truth Seeker tour bus. And as a community, we could travel to places where, you know, these rituals go down and educate the people in real time. Imagine the bus shows up, 100 people on it, 50 people on it, I don't know, 30 people on it. And we pour out with our t-shirts, with our information, and we, you know, grab the attention of other people in the community. Spread the word. Say, hey, oh, by the way, in addition to exposing this false flag, we have a real plan. We have a real plan how to escape the matrix, how to get out, how to live independently, live on the land, grow your own food, get out from under the tyranny. So, yeah, I got ideas, but I mean, ideas are one thing. You need the means to get there. And as for a place to do it, I mean, if you wanted to stay in the United States, you'd probably have to do it somewhere in the southeast where it's warm all year. Grow food year-round, so you might have to live in a place that's not considered desirable. A place like Alabama or Arkansas, land's cheap there, so. Caller?
Hey, what's up? I just wanted to point out something real quick. Yesterday I was talking to my cousin, and I was, you know, telling her about the Gilbert Gottfried video. Anyway, I went back and watched it again, and she heard the same thing that I did this time, because I didn't realize it before. He doesn't say San Francisco. He says Sam, S-A-M, Francisco. So and put it into the Gematrinator and put it in real quick and see what comes up on 7-Eleven.
Well, just tell us real quick what comes up. We're listening.
Well, we got 121, which of course square root of 11, and 49 square root 7, and there's of course a 77 in there too. 7 times 11.
All right, good observation. I think somebody wrote that script for him to say on the
He must have.
on the what do they call it, cameo thing. So again, people keep asking about San Francisco and yesterday, and I told people all year, I said if anything's likely to happen on August 11th, it's the same location we've been looking at from day one, Temple Mount. But San Francisco had the Golden Gate symbolism. There was a headline in San Francisco for August 11th, and again, that was a shooting on Golden Gate Avenue and Fillmore Street that reportedly, 4 people shot. Golden Gate Avenue was 118, Fillmore Street was 141, like San Francisco, California. And they said it was in the Western Addition, which is 180 like Golden Gate, and it was at a McDonald's, which is known for the Golden Arches. So, the riddles are ongoing, but I don't think this headline in San Francisco was any accident yesterday. So,
just another week of crazy coincidences, right?
Right. So, anyway.
Well, another thing I was looking up too is like earlier this week in El Paso is I put in the English translation for El Paso too. I had it written down, but obviously there's the pass, which I believe there's a 33 in there, and some of the other translations were the pass, the step, the way, and the path, and like every one of them had some interesting numbers, I believe. So just an extra thought.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, have a good day.
All right, thanks. Okay. Well, I'm sure Scott with his 33, his SS 33 name is just another troll. But anyway, easy to get rid of. So no, Derek Bros didn't make the Gematria calculator app. That's not Derek's last name. I'm not going to put out Derek's last name. I'm not sure that he shares his last name with people, but Derek Bros is an idiot. Derek, who made the calculator, is a different person. So the number to call in is 509-731-0567. Well, you might think that, Crystal, but that's not what I think, I think some things need to be spoken as they are. So I don't know why you guys bring attention to the trolls. I mean, do you guys get what trolls are here for? They're here to get attention and distract you. So I don't know why you're announcing that a troll's here. Kind of makes you, a troll yourself. So number 33, who's likely another troll, says nothing special happened on 8/11. And again, an idiotic comment. A lot did happen on August 11th, including the exact incident at the exact location that we said to look out for the day because it was coded 11 months in advance. And if you don't think that, tear gas being shot on a group of people praying at one of their most holy sites on one of their most holy days is nothing, it's because you're a desensitized moron. It's because you're a mind-controlled idiot. Most of you in the chat are probably American, and you have the American mind control programming. If it didn't happen in America, it's not really a big deal, You guys will lose your whole weekend over 8 dead people in some city in some reported mass shooting, but same thing happens times 100 in another place, and you just shrug your shoulders at it. That's called mind control, which most of you are under. So you're welcome, CMH. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Okay. Nothing happened on 8/11. Again, let me get rid of the troll here. So first of all, it wasn't just 8/11. I did say to remember the weekend of Tisha B'Av. I said August 10th is also part of Tisha B'Av because that's what they were encoding. And again, you know, who told you to circle the date March 15th 5 months in advance? I did. Who showed you the day of that March 15th event? It was synced up with Tisha B'Av. I did. And what happened? You get another mosque shooting coding the same numbers. So anyway, caller? Caller? You're on the line. Okay, hanging up. So anyway, I don't mean to say I so much, but I'm just stating facts. I'm showing you how the New World Order lays down their rituals, how their ongoing scheming comes to, you know, instill fear, intimidation, division, and this is exactly what they do. So for everyone to say nothing happened, well, that's just evidence that you're one of the fucking retards I'm talking about. If you think nothing happened, it's because you're fucking retarded. Yeah, I think that last person who called in was a phone troll. They're making noises with their mouth. Caller?
Hey, Zach. How are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm good. I lost my voice. Yeah, I used to call in, but I got kind of busy and I haven't been able to call for a while.
That's okay.
It's interesting, this whole Epstein thing. I mean, even people who don't believe in conspiracy theories, I mean, you just talk to the normies and they're all starting to wake up. It's quite magical, actually.
Well, that's good to hear.
What do you think about this whole Epstein? I mean, even if he's dead or not, I mean, people are just questioning everything now, you know, even normal people.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand why people are questioning the Epstein thing. A billionaire gets off the hook with suicide and supposedly, you know, under watch in a cell. So it's too bad they don't question more. But I mean, that story is just so obvious that I understand why even the normies are questioning that one.
Yeah. But you know what it is, Zach? It's the first crumbling block. You know, it's just a matter of time before the whole, like everybody says in the community, it's a D5 avalanche, and it just takes one little snowflake to fall, and then the whole thing starts to come down.
That is true, because that is hopefully what should happen to people. They realize that the media is lying to them, so what else are they lying about? That should be the attitude.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be the attitude. I think the more we get into the winter time, I think we're going to see more and more stuff, and more things start to come out. You know, hopefully more people will come to Gematria, but I think everything's going to start to be revealed, and everybody's going to soon be on the same page.
Well, I hope so. That would make a huge difference.
Because even if like, you know, Gematria is not real, and people want to say Gematria is not real, then why don't you ask them the question? Have you heard about what's happening in France? Have you heard about that they've been rioting for like 30 weeks straight? And they go, what? You know, and so then it's just a little chink. You know, every time you find a little chink in the armor, you pull at it, and if it's not Gematria, it's something else. You ask them, oh, did you hear about this event that happened? And they're like, no. And you're like, well, this, and this. And then you tell them, and they go research it, and they're like, oh, wow, what else am I not being told? So I just wanted to say hi and just say that I don't really have any, stunning observations to share.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, and hopefully your voice comes back, and I like your optimism and your observations, so thank you very much.
Yeah, so, people just have to realize, you just have to find your little way of making the person you're talking to realize it. And you can't, you have to kind of sometimes take the soft sell approach and say, okay, maybe you believe 9/11, and that's fine, but what happened to Building 7? And they're like, Building 7?
Right.
And it's just don't be so, I want to just say to everybody, don't be abrasive. Take the soft sell approach. Say, yeah, okay, maybe you're right. And then you say, when we say, yeah, you're right, and then you introduce a facet of the argument that maybe kind of undermines their argument, and then they say, oh, so we have to take a back seat and let things happen, because people are going to come to their own realization. There's no longer for us to be so strident right now. I think what we should do is maybe take a back seat and let people come to their own realizations, and when they do, we're there to provide them with some guideposts and markers and things to think about. Does that make sense?
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, in my day-to-day interactions, I don't normally talk to anybody about anything just because I know how the common person is. But if I hear them bring something up that I'm interested in, I'll usually chime in with something maybe they don't know. So.
Yeah, of course. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think people are going to start to come to realizations, and we need to just kind of let them come to their realizations themselves. And we've been fighting with, we as the collective have been fighting with our family and our friends and everyone. And we know that to try to bring them to truth, and it's time to just let that go, because the truth is going to be brought to them. The tide comes in no matter what, and the tide is coming in.
All right. Well, I appreciate your message.
Cool. Good to talk to you, Zach. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. You take care. Bye. Alrighty. Thank you for the other super chat as well. Appreciate the donation and recommending people pick up the book. People don't read, not enough. So. Yeah. All right, Rudy. Thanks for buying the book. I doubt it, but it would do you good. Caller?
Hi, Zach. My name's Deb, and I'm calling from Saginaw, Michigan. And I want to thank you for all the hard work you've been doing.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I was wondering if you could do a little bit of your magic with a story that came out I believe it was last Monday, a week ago. It had to do with the Pentagon sending up 25 surveillance balloons that had a 25-mile radius to survey over the Midwest. Have you heard anything about that?
I did not hear about that story. I'm going to have to look into it, but 25 has a square root of 5. When I think of the Pentagon, I think of 5.
Yes.
So I'll look into that. So it was last Monday, so it was August 5th?
Yes, on top of that, yeah.
Okay.
But, and it's not anything that was real prominent in the news. It just so happened that when I was looking at some different news headlines, they were showing pictures of it, and they were giving of the actual balloon. It's kind of an odd shape, like I said. Like if you look up online, I'm sure you'll see what I'm talking about. And I can't really pinpoint who wrote the article either.
It looked it looks like the article actually it looks like the information might have first been released Friday, August 2nd.
Okay.
But I see all these newer stories saying that they weren't spying on people, and usually if the media is out there telling you it wasn't doing that, it's probably exactly what it was doing. So
Exactly. And, also within that story, it was saying that this was to be able to look for, like, possible drug trafficking or possible domestic terrorists. And, but it also in the article said that that the Pentagon or whatever company that was I can't remember the name of the company that made the balloon or is collecting the data, that they weren't saying what they were going to do with the data that they were collecting on everybody.
well, this right here is, this is exactly what's wrong with the society we live in. It's just a growing surveillance state. This is how our tax dollars are being spent. It's just...
Exactly.
So, yeah, even without decoding, this is just everything that's wrong right here. So
I know. But like I said, being, you're so good at what you do, I just wondered if there was any connection, like once you looked into the article or what was going on, if it had any, ulterior motive, meaning other than what we already know.
well, there usually is some extra hidden meaning there. I'm sure if I look at it for a minute, I'll figure something out. But yeah, I hadn't heard about this, so I just appreciate you calling in. I missed this story, so.
All right. Well, like I said, I know you've been doing all this work with Epstein and Tasha Bob and all of this. I thought maybe you might want to exercise your brain on another little subject.
Yeah, I will look more into it. I do appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach. And again, I do appreciate everything you're doing.
I got to say, you first noticed this story last Monday, huh?
Yes.
What's funny about that is mass surveillance balloons in the most pure cipher equals 85. So last week was August 5th. So it's probably a reason. So, yeah, okay. I will. I'll look into it more. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Zach.
All right. Take care. You're welcome.
All right. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
365 too. So it's like, yeah, well, maybe that's part of it too. We'll be spying on you 365 days a year. High altitude balloons. But they just already have so many different ways to keep tabs on us. The endless budget for surveillance state. I'll have to think more about what else could be here. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up for now. So, good afternoon. But going to say goodbye. If you just got here, you can rewind to the beginning of the video. Like I think any video, if you didn't know this, if you want to go to the beginning of a live stream, if you get that red bar to come up and then take the circle and take it back to the beginning, you can watch from the beginning of the video, in case you didn't know that. So, all right, you guys have a good rest of your day. You never know, I might be back. But, oh, they put out the name of the Garden Grove stabber. I was about to go, but I got to check that out real quick. I was waiting for them to release his name. The Garden Grove mass stabber who got no blood on his shirt. Heavy.com always comes with the 5 fast facts you need to know. To go back and look at the Garden Grove posts. Here, just before I go, in case somehow you missed this story, let me pull it up. Garden Grove always makes me think of Sublime. All right, so here he was supposedly getting arrested. And then look at this baby blue Gap shirt. I swear to God they don't sell these anymore, but not a drop of blood on it. And the funny thing about this story is the arrest, the police station, the Masonic Lodge, they're all right next to each other. And they coded the Masonic numbers all over this. 4 dead, 2 hurt, Freemason 42, Garden Grove where it happens 181, the 42nd prime. The man telling the story was Lieutenant Carl Whitney, 181. They said the man who did the stabbing was 33 years old in Orange County. And again, 33 Masonry, Police, Federal Secrecy Order. All 33. Orange is 33. Orange and Police have perfect overlap. Orange County Freemasonry, a lot in common. So covered that in the video, but here, let's see what's in the guy's name. So 60 stands out right away, just like how Police is 60, Order is 60, Orange is 60. Just pointing that out. 93 is propaganda. But again, we were just showing Orange and Police, and he's 33 years old. Let's see. Let's see his last name. Well, 58, what do you know? Like Freemasonry. So. Okay, I'll look some more at that. Maybe there's something else there. Okay, guys, I'm going to look more into some of these stories you guys recommended, and I'll be back when the time's appropriate. Have a good rest of your day.